passion. It's what most entrepreneurs have in common when we start our business. We discover our passion for a certain topic, service, type of work, and we throw ourselves into developing and growing a business aligned with that passion. That's certainly how I felt when I started my first business working as a professional organizer. I knew I had these skills and I knew that others needed and struggled with them. And so my first business, Living Peace Professional Organizing, was born. I wanted to use my passion, my skills, to help and serve others, a desire that I know many entrepreneurs share with me. Starting a business was a joy, a challenge, a passion project for me that was exciting and engaging and endlessly absorbing. Getting my first few clients was such a thrill, and consistently learning, developing my personal approach to getting someone organized, whether that was reorganizing a craft room from a dumping ground into a functional workspace, or the heavier work of supporting a grieving family to make some thoughtful and intentional decisions about the belongings of their loved one. It all fed my passion. But it was that very passion that led to my first experience of burnout. It started when I had a new idea for a service that I wanted to launch in my company, and I was so amazingly excited about it that I was up constantly, working from the moment I woke up in the morning until late into the night. There were nights where I couldn't keep my eyes open any longer, and I would fall asleep with my computer and my books and my notes still all strewn around me. I had set myself a deadline to launch this new service by January of 2006. So all fall, I was pushing hard to conceptualize the service, to write the marketing copy for the new web pages, to draft up the service agreement, and a whole bunch of other details. Challenge was, I was pushing like it was finals period back in college. Long hours, late nights, minimal breaks, and I loved it. Writing that passion was invigorating. Then came Thanksgiving, November 2005, and I had been working virtually nonstop for roughly 10 weeks. That Thanksgiving morning dawned, and I was at the house of my then boyfriend. And I started to think about all of the people who were coming over for this big meal, many of whom were largely strangers to me, and something snapped. I collapsed, sobbing, in fetal position, curled up on the bedroom floor. I simply couldn't do it. I had nothing left. The idea of trying to turn on the charm to talk with these people was just too much. I was in a full panic attack. I grabbed my keys, I grabbed my bag, I bolted, still sobbing, and drove away as fast and as far as I could. All of my passion had left me burned to a crisp. I had pushed too hard for too long, and my little introverted heart couldn't take the idea of trying to rally the energy to talk to a bunch of strangers for hours. What I had forgot was that pushing hard through finals in college rarely lasted more than 2 or 3 weeks. And I had just pushed myself with that same passionate intensity for almost 3 months. I was done. Now, I know for a fact I'm not the only entrepreneur who has had the experience of a passion-driven burnout. Now, fast forward a few years, my business had grown, I was fully booked with clients as a solopreneur, and I began to feel really clearly that I had a decision to make. I either had to hire and delegate parts of the work I was doing, or I was gonna have to start turning away clients. I couldn't keep doing all the things because I could feel that same exhaustion creeping in and pushing me again toward burnout. But this time I made a different decision. I decided to restructure my company and start growing my team. I hired admin help, bookkeeping help, and eventually I started hiring other professional organizers and training them in my methods and approach. My passion had yet again driven me into becoming an exhausted entrepreneur, but this time, having tasted burnout before, I made some different decisions. I began to start intentionally building systems in my business that allowed me to take better care of my personal energy and get clear about what my vision was, what my priorities were, what was really most important, and most of all, to start hiring team members who could take those other tasks off of my plate. Now, what's fascinating to me is that in discovering and creating this new vision for my company and building those systems, hiring, training team members, it actually sparked a new kind of passion for me. I was stepping into my new identity, this new experience of myself. I was becoming a visionary CEO. Now, in many ways, that process began that day back in 2005 when I found myself sobbing on the bedroom floor. But it's been the intervening 15 years that have taught me how utterly crucial having solid business and personal productivity systems can be to every entrepreneur, and how I can teach other entrepreneurs exactly how to build those systems for themselves. Because without them, our unbridled, amazing passion can simply lead to burnout. And so here's the lesson I had to experience to learn. Burnout is not the road to success. It's not sustainable. It's a flash in the pan, it roasts you, and the potential impact that you could be having on all of the people your business could be serving, hundreds, thousands, even millions of people who need your work in the world. Growing your impact only happens if you learn how to harness your passion and build the systems you need to make that success not just achievable, but sustainable. We've all seen it before, right? Those stories about the entrepreneur who started with a passion for something, but after a couple years realized that the passion she had for her business has just burned out. The business she worked so hard to build fades like smoke, a fire that's starved for fuel. Now, sometimes it was just time for a pivot in that entrepreneur's life. However, I genuinely believe that many people get so stuck in being the exhausted entrepreneur, they can't figure out what needs to change to make the leap, to create the space and the systems that can grow their business to the next level. How to claim their new role as the visionary CEO for their business. And that is why I created the Freedom Evolution Method. We need to help you find that spark of passion you have for your work, however small it might currently be, and feed the flame. Give it fuel, space, air that's needed to rekindle a vision for a new version of your future. Then we can start building the systems that allow that new vision to continually and sustainably grow. You have to grow it intentionally, thoughtfully, in a controlled kind of way that ensures you're harnessing your passion for all of the impactful, creative potential while not allowing it to burn you out. You want to become like that lighthouse that can burn for centuries, guiding others, fulfilling its purpose, rather than the forest fire. It's going to die out in days, weeks, or months, leaving a charred path behind it. Become the lighthouse. Choose to shine bright, guiding and serving the others who need you. So if you're ready to leave that burned out life as an exhausted entrepreneur and step fully into your new role as the visionary CEO of your company, I invite you to join me right now for my program, The Freedom Evolution, because the doors will be closing again very soon. You can find out all the details at chosencourse.com/I want more and decide whether you're ready to join us. And if you're watching this after the doors have closed, then make sure you get on the waiting list so you'll hear immediately when the doors open again. Because I want every exhausted entrepreneur to discover how they can harness that passion and create a business that brings them even more joy, growth, and freedom than you've ever imagined in your life. So, are you ready for the next step, Freedom Lover? Let's get started.